So good evening. I'm going to just do a couple of more examples to reinforce the concepts on PN junction diodes. Okay, so that is the idea for today's class, and let us take one by one. The first problem, using the fact that a silicon diode has saturation current of 10 power minus 14 ampere at 25 degrees centigrade, and that the saturation current increases by 15% per degree centigrade rise in temperature. Find the value of IS at 125 degree. So the question is very simple. This question is mainly to develop the mathematical idea rather than too much on the. It's so simple that you will see here. So we know the current through the diode is given by IS under forward bias exponential of V by Vt, where V is the applied forward bias voltage, and if V is the applied forward, knowing the IS is the saturation current. So knowing the V, we can find what is the current that passes through, okay, at a particular temperature. But IS is also a function of temperature. We had seen that in the class. I had explained then, because IS is related to Ni intrinsic carrier concentration, and intrinsic carrier concentration, okay, and then we also see that the Ni is at room temperature is 1.5 into 10 power 10, but as we increase the temperature, the charge carriers available for conduction will be higher. Okay, so saturation current. Those facts were actually explained earlier while taking the semiconductor physics out of it. Okay, now we have to look at only IS right now, and because the question is only about IS. So IS given at 25 degree, IS is 10 power minus 14, extremely very small current, the saturation current or the scaling current. Why scaling current? Because it is directly proportional to the area of cross section of the PN junction. Okay, when you increase the area, proportionately the scaling current increases or the saturation current increases. Okay, and IS increases by 15% per degree. So this is at 25 degree. So let us look at, our question is at 125 degree, what will be the value of IS? Okay, what will be the value? That's the question. So let us do a simple mathematical stuff here. Because we are given IS increases 15% per degree centigrade, which means by rising the temperature from per 1 degree, I will be increasing by, so at 26 degree centigrade, IS will become at 26 degree, it will become IS at 25 degree. So I will write it as IS 25. Here I will write it as 26 subscripts. 25, 15% increase, which means it will go 115 by 100. Okay, so it will go like that because it's an increase. So you have, if it was 100, it is same. There is no increase, but if it is by 15%, then you will have to do this. So at 27 degree centigrade, again from here it will become IS 27 will be equivalent to IS 26 115 by 100, because now from 26 I have pulled down to this thing. So substituting this equation 1 in equation 2, I will get IS 25 115 by 100, and this is for this one, this factor. Then there is one more 100, so I will have to write like this, 115 by 100. So it will become IS 25 115 by 100. So I think now you got the answer what it should be. From rising from 25 degree to 125 degree, the temperature changes like 100 degrees centigrade. So for 2 degrees centigrade to the power 2, for 100 degree centigrade increase, you will get to the power 100. So at 125 degrees centigrade, IS 125, it will become IS 25 115 by 100 to the power 100. So you can simplify this and you will get an answer. You can check it. I will give you the answer directly. 1.17 into 10 power minus 8. Okay, ampere. Now think about it. In the class I have told you that the saturation current is typically of the order of 10 power minus 12 to 10 power minus 18 ampere. Extremely very small. But here we are having, compared to that value, we are getting 10 power minus 8. So more carriers. Okay. So we will have that IS value. Now you think about this here. You have, this is only theoretical. You don't, nobody can raise the temperature with the diode this kind of increase. Okay. So this is only to underline the concept of this temperature dependence of the saturation current. This problem was given. I hope you understood. So let us move on to the next problem. Figure 4a shows a circuit for charging a 12 volt battery if Vs is sinusoid with, okay, just a second. If Vs is sinusoid, okay, and with 24 volt peak, okay, find the fraction of each cycle during which the diode conducts. Also find the peak value of the diode current and the maximum reverse bias voltage that appears across the diode. Okay, so there are some interesting facts here. Let us go one step at a time. First thing that we know, the diode conduction, right? So there is a battery here. So because of which, and the battery, the way it is connected, even under forward bias, which means positive half cycle of this input voltage, it is not going to conduct for the entire cycle, half cycle. Okay, so let us first draw the input. Trace. The input trace goes like this. Assume that it is symmetrical. Okay, of course I have to draw the sinusoid stuff. So this is my voltage, this is my time, and the peak voltage here, the peak voltage at this point is actually 24. This is the input signal. This is the negative of the positive half cycle. Okay, so now I have a 24 volt, which is the source. This battery, the way it is connected, definitely the diode, we know diode conducts only when under forward bias. So definitely during the positive half cycle, you can expect, because the voltage is, if there is no source here, entire positive half cycle the diode will conduct. But because the way the source is connected, we have to understand the potential at this point with respect to this point, or alternatively potential at the P terminal with respect to N terminal. Only when the potential at P terminal is greater than the potential at N terminal will the diode be conducting. under forward bias. Okay, so having said that, so try to understand. So for all voltages below, if I look at here, this is 12 volt. So this is positive cycle. So I am coming from positive to this way. So I'm taking this potential at this point and constructing my loop KVL, Kirchhoff's voltage law. If I look at it, there will be a potential drop across this 100 ohm resistor, and then then there is a, here the diode is there. For a moment think that there is no diode, it will actually, there will be a current, but the effective voltage will be, because here it is positive and negative. So I'm going from positive to negative, which means it is minus 12. So which means as long as the voltage of the input is not 12, okay, so until it reaches the value of 12 here, so as I increase the voltage, input voltage, at a point P, for example here, when the voltage is 12 volt here, and this point P, at that point P, until that point there won't be any conduction, because the diode will be under reverse bias, because the potential at this point will be lower than the potential at P, will be lower than the potential at the N terminal. So here it will be 12, it will be 5. So which means the diode will be under reverse bias. That means the diode will not conduct. So we have to get to close to the value, we have to get to 12 volt for to start seeing the conduction. Okay, that too because we are considering an ideal diode. Okay, so there is no potential drop across the ideal diode. So when it is 12 here and when it is 12 here, we can see the conduction here. So right there it will increase, and we can actually see a this curve going like that. So here it will be 12. So you can actually see that the cycle has to complete here as far as the output is concerned. The output has to go, the trace of output will be like this, where you can draw the vertical over here. You will see the trace. So this is my input signal. This is my output signal. So you will be able to see some output, which means the diode will conduct. Okay, so if I were to take the output over here, I can see that output over here. So that is the output signal. So we can see that output, that is when the diode is conducting, only when, so we can write simply when V input, okay, V input exceeds or equal to 12 volt, diode will conduct. For all voltages below 12 volt, diode will not conduct. So let us say there is a point P, I told you this point is P, okay, and this point is Q. So we can clearly see, and again the below 12 from here to here the diode will not conduct. Again up to the next cycle up to 12 volt, again it will not conduct. So up to that point you can see here. So that point it will not conduct. So entire from here to here the diode will not conduct. So it will conduct only between this region. Okay, that means let us say this point is P. Okay, so let me put it in another color. So let us say this is point P and the point Q. So we have the point Q, point P. So from 0 to up to the point P, it won't be conducting from here. So now with this knowledge, let us proceed further. We know for a sinusoidal signal, generally we can write V equal to VA equal to VP sin omega t. We can write. This is a generic form of sinusoidal signal. Now at point P, we do not know what is this phase factor. So we need to find that phase factor like that. But this phase factor, if you look at here, let us think like this. Let us look at this voltage, for example. What is this VP value? 24 volt, right? This is 24 volt. So I want to find the point P with respect to this 24 volt. So this point P is 12 volt. So how is this point P 12 volt at 12 volt is related to the peak voltage? It will be related as 12 volt equal to 24, okay, sine of 90 minus theta, because when theta equal to 0, okay, which means when theta equal to 0, that will be, you will get sine 90, which means that will be this point. But there theta 0 means you will not get 12 equal to 24, definitely. So the theta point has to be somewhere here. So I assume this point is theta 1. Okay. Similarly, you can see the theta 2 over here. So from here to, so if I find this theta 2 minus theta 1, I will know what will be the angle of conduction. So this is the trace. The entire full cycle is 360 degree. So theta 2 minus theta 1 will correspond to theta 2 minus theta 1 will correspond to conduction angle. Conduction angle. Now this one 12 volt equal to 24 sine 90 minus theta, or simply I can say, you can say that you will get here, this is sine of 90 minus theta. Why did I put 90 minus theta? Because the fact that this is at theta, okay, and theta, which means let us say this is theta 1, okay. So this is theta 1 and 90 minus theta 1, because 90 is here, this is theta 1, the phase angle. So 90 minus theta 1, so which will be this part, that will be at this point I consider theta 1, which means I will have 90 minus theta 1. Then I can actually write it as 12 equal to, I'll come to that, 24 cos theta, or theta 1 equal to 60 degree. Theta 1 equal to 60 degree. Okay. So you have to understand this. This theta 1 is actually, I will put this point. Now let us think about this. Actually, it should be written as, okay, let me make it clear. Otherwise, you will get confused here. I should put it as, actually, if I write it as theta 1, then I must be very careful there. That will be equivalent to sine theta 1. Sine theta 1. I should write it that way only, not 90 minus theta. So be careful there. 9 theta, sine theta 1, because that is a sinusoidal form. Okay. So don't get me wrong there. So if you look at here, theta 1 will be equivalent to, 30 degree, because that is the input, right? So theta 1 is 30 degree. What about theta 2? Theta 2 will be again 12 volt. So again I should write 12 equal to 24 sine theta 2. Okay, and this theta 2 is actually, let us try to understand that carefully here. This theta 2 is in this after 90 degree. Okay, so you have to understand that. So we know that this is 90 degree, so it has to be 90 plus something that must give. So sin theta 2 is in second quadrant. Theta 2 in second quadrant. Second quadrant. So this is for at point P. So let me write it here. This is at point P. This is at point, so point at point Q. So at point Q, totally equal to 24 sin theta 2, but theta 2 is in the second quadrant, and we know that sin values are positive in the second quadrant, which means theta 2 will be, you can guess it actually, theta 2 will be equal to 150 degree, because you have again that will be sin of 180 minus theta 2 will be sin of 180 minus theta 2 will be sin theta 2, and we have to get 30 degree here, which means that will be theta 2 will be 150 degree. So the conduction angle is actually, conduction angle is 150 minus 30. So conduction angle will be equivalent to 120 degrees. So try to understand that. Okay, so 120 degrees, 120 degree only it is conducting. Okay, which means the fraction of each cycle. So each cycle is, one full cycle is from here to here. So that will be angle 360 degree. So fraction of that cycle will be 120 divided by 360. So fraction of the cycle, during which diode conducts will be 120 divided by 360, which means 1/3. So the diode is conducting only in 1/3 of the entire cycle. That is the fraction. So first question answered. What about the second question? What is the second question? Find the peak value of the diode current. Okay, that is the question. So before that, you look at this picture. This is again the textbook problem from Cedra Smith, and this is exactly what I drew and explained. So instead of putting this whole diagram in one go, I said the diode conducts only in the positive of that too, only one part of it. So this angle we found it to be at 30 and this is at 150. So 150 minus 30 will be 120 degree. That will be the conduction angle. 360 by out of 360 it is 1/3. Okay. Now we want peak value of the diode current. Peak value of diode current. Peak value of diode current. So we know that the diode, when it is conducting, the peak of current and the voltage, input voltage, are in phase. So that means when the input voltage is at 24 volt, the diode will conduct the will enable maximum current to go through. So that will be the voltage peak value of diode current. You can simply write it in this form. So I take that peak value at this point as at some instant which is at t/4. We can actually think in this fashion. It will be 24 volt, and then you have a resistor which is 100 ohms, and then the diode is conducting, which is shorting for ideal diode. Then you have a positive and negative volt. So which means here it will be 12 volt. So which means, so this is my circuit. So which means you will get I will be equivalent to, this will be the peak current, ID peak will be ID peak will be 24 minus 12 divided by 100. That will be equivalent to 12 by 100 or simply 0.12 ampere. So that is the peak diode current. Now what about this question is very simple. Maximum reverse bias voltage that appears. So reverse bias. So the diode has to go into reverse bias. That means how much? So you can see from my figure itself here. You have this point which is Q. From the point Q all the way to this cycle, the diode does not conduct. And this point with respect to the horizontal zero line, it will be 12 volt. So here the point is 12 volt, the Q point will be 12 volt. So if I drop we are asked to find maximum reverse bias. So maximum reverse bias is this is minus 24, and there is a 12 volt here. So the maximum reverse bias voltage will be equivalent to maximum reverse bias voltage will be equivalent to 12 minus, there is a, it's in the negative, so 12 minus potential difference like you are measuring minus 24, so that will be 36 volt. That will be the reverse bias voltage that the diode will be seeing. Okay, so that is very clear. So all the questions are answered. Now the last problem for today's. This is another example problem from that textbook, because some of you are not carrying the textbook. So I am forced to take this example to give you the thought process here. So this circuit uses a galvanometer, moving coil galvanometer, and again we have to consider that a diode conducting in the forward bias only. That means the P terminal has a higher potential with in relation to the N terminal, N side. So with that, now question is basically this fellow has a full scale reading. The meter has a full scale reading. So what are all the facts that we can understand from this problem? Full scale reading. Okay, it shows when I average, that is like a DC value, I average is 1 milliampere. The moving coil meter has a resistance 50 ohm resistance. So typically it is written in the symbol with small r, that is equivalent to 50 ohms. Find the value of capital R, which is here. That results in the meter indicating a full scale reading, which means corresponding to an average current of 1 milliampere when the input sine wave voltage is 20 volt peak to peak. So again, this diagram will help you to understand this. So this is my typical sinusoidal signal, and this signal peak to peak means this is Vp, this is minus Vp. So peak to peak will be 2 Vp, Vp minus of minus Vp, like last problem, will be equivalent to 20 volt, which means Vp will be equivalent to 10 volt. So this will be equivalent to minus 10 volt. This will be equivalent to plus 10 volt. Now, what it says is the average. So if you take any AC cycle signal, the average over the entire cycle will be 0, because the average of this will be, you take instantaneous current at every point through the half, and taking the number of instances we take, we will divide it, sum it up and divide by the number of instances. You will get an average over here. That average, let us say it is here, and that's a DC value again. And again here you will have an average value like this. But if I take over the entire cycle, this will be plus, this will be minus, resulting in 0. But we know the diode conducts only in the forward bias, reverse bias, it does not contribute at all. It does not conduct. So we have to only take the average reading, that is full scale average current that is going through is 1 milliampere. So if I know what is the voltage across this, the average voltage that the moving coil galvanometer measures, okay, then I can actually do this. So that will be with respect to the input, depends on the input. So any half wave, you can actually find the average, and you can prove that the average. So I need to use all DC values. So what then only I will be able to find what will be the resistance, because I will know the what is the voltage drop across this. Then I will be able to know it when the diode is conducting, right? So which means it will be plus 10 here. So given the hint is given, the average half value of half sine waves is Vp by pi. That is very easy to deduce. If you were to do this to find Vi average, you want to find, you can get do this over half cycle. You do this and you will get Vp sine theta d theta you put. Okay, so this will be like, you can put it, you will see the, it will be minus cos theta, but minus cos, already you have a cos pi will be -1, minus of minus will be this thing. So you will get essentially, when you do this, you will get Vp by pi. You can check this, because there will be a factor 2 here, the 2 factor that will come from the integration, that 2 and the denominator 2 will get. So I have to average it over the cycle. So that will be 2 pi. So when I do that, V average will be equivalent to Vp by pi. Okay, so that will be the answer. Now, so keeping this, given Vp equal to 10 volt, so which means since Vp is 10 volt, we can find V average. As I told you, we have to use only all average values, because I average we have to use. So to apply the KVL in this okay, in this thing, KVL, when the diode is shorted under forward bias, to apply that I need to use the average value of the potential across this. So that average value corresponding to the entire input will be appearing across the capital R plus the small r. Okay, the voltage drop as voltage drop. So V average here, it will be 10 by pi, that will be equivalent to 3.18. You can check it, volts, because pi is 3.142. So you multiply 3.142 by 3.18, you will get 10. Okay, so I have done this. So I am giving the answer straight away. And then what you do is, as I told you, when the diode is conducting, the equivalent circuit will be like this. So this will be the average value. So I can put a DC average value here, that will be equivalent to 3.18 volt, and there will be a current I. Okay, that average current equivalent is given. Average current is 1 milliampere, that is given already. We need only this capital R, small r is given 50 ohms. So I can write the KVL around this loop, and I will get 3.18 minus 1 into, I am straight away writing the answer, 1 into 10 power minus 3. Why minus 3? Because it is milliampere. R plus R will be equivalent to 0, and you will get essentially capital R will be equivalent to 3.18 into 10 power 3, because this minus 3, when it goes to the other side, first 3.18 you take the minus cancel, and then 10 power minus 3 in the denominator will go to numerator, it will become 10 power 3 ohms, and then the small r goes to the other side. You can do, I will write the steps directly. 50 ohms, this is, so you will get in ohms, so you will get 3.13 into 10 power 3 ohms or simply 3.13 kilo ohms. This is the answer. Okay, so I hope this is very clear, so you can do this. Okay, thank you.